Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You Movement. I am B. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if this video is going to make it. So if it does, that's because I've watched it probably close to 20 times and decided that it's okay. I've told you along my journey, oftentimes speaking my truth and being fully authentic and fully real has sometimes been a massive challenge for me, because I spent the majority of my life hiding my truth because it wasn't safe to speak it. But in light of all of this throat chakra stuff that has been happening, and this tooth that got pulled that I'm still recovering from, I think it's a high possibility that the nerves around the tooth have been quite severely damaged. And because I'm still feeling some like electrical sensations around the extraction site. So what I've been doing is on top of a lot of resting, I'm definitely in a new phase of this awakening that I'm going to call the Great Sleep, because I'm so tired. I'm unbelievably tired. And I'm also trying to heal this extraction site and repair any nerve damage. So I'm also fasting. And when I fast, I haven't done very many videos about fasting, but I do fast on occasion. And I wanted to just quickly say something about that before I move into the main thing that I wanted to talk about. But fasting for me is not something that is a mental choice. It's not like, oh, I think I need to fast, so I'm going to fast for 3 days. No, my body usually tells me when it's time to fast, because it's just doesn't get hungry. And so I'm on a coconut water fast to keep my electrolytes in good balance. And while I'm doing all of this sleep that I'm doing, wherein I'm getting insanely hot, it's like I'm burning off stuff. The Kundalini is doing its thing. And so my body said no to food. Which is a good thing, because to create healing in your body can't do two things at once. And so it's focused right now on rest and repair. And my mind doesn't like it. My ego self doesn't like it. My inner critic doesn't like it. It's been in hyper criticism for the last week about, you should be up. You need to get this done. This is a worry that you have. This is a worry that you have. And I've just overridden the mind and said, no, listen. In less than a year, I've been through some crazy stuff, and I need time now to heal, and I also need time now to grieve. So I wanted to talk a little bit about grief, because, and more importantly, in relation to the twin flame journey. Now, I try not to do too many videos on twin flame stuff. One, because I don't profess to call myself a twin flame coach, and I don't profess to know all the answers. And I really question whether anyone truly actually does know all the answers. I've done like you have, if you're on the twin flame journey, and searched out answers left, right, and center, because you want to know what the heck is happening to you. And some people have resonated with me as, yeah, that sounds a little bit like truth. And others have caused more damage, I think, on this process than been a benefit. Because when you start on this twin flame phenomenon situationship, you obviously go and try to search out answers as quickly as possible. That's what I did. I was like, what is happening to me? This doesn't make any sense. I feel a love for a person that I barely know. I don't even know if I like them, let alone love them, because love in my mind has always been defined as, okay, have you met all this criteria for me to be able to say that I love you? And that's not how the twin flame journey works. It's like your heart does its own thing, and your mind it is slow to catch up because it doesn't understand what's happening, because the situation might come about and it's an inconvenient time, it's an inconvenient pairing, like you can be polar opposites, or different cultures, or massive age gaps, or massively different philosophies on things. So it's not really a convenient love story. Although it is a love story, it's not your traditional love story. In my situation, it was a business relationship that it made me come alive. Not a convenient situationship in the slightest. I had a husband. They had a life partner. And so there was no room for anything to come of anything. I certainly was not going to go down the path of having an affair. And I'm grateful for the timing of it, even though it was so badly timed. You can look at relationships in life as the right person, the right way, the right time. And while this certainly might have been the right person, but it was definitely the wrong way and the wrong time. And it woke me up. And that's just it. It's your awakening. And so in meeting this person, in having this soul recognition, in having my Kundalini activated, in having this heart activation, and this love that could not be contained, and this love that just wouldn't go away, and this love that was just unconditional, which was what is unconditional love? I'd certainly never experienced it in my life ever. And so that's the point, is it's this processes of teaching us how to unconditionally love, and it's using an outside source of, no matter what I do, I can't stop loving this person, even though I'm not with this person, even though I can't be with this person, even though this person is wrong for me for these reasons, or even though this person irritates me for these reasons. And there's a whole bunch of, there's a massive twin flame community out there, and lots of people are like complaining about this situationship, and I can understand that, because it is a brutal feeling. It's very painful feeling to love somebody that you can't be with, that unrequited love thing. And in that, you're fed a lot of misinformation, and a lot of what I think is actually quite destructive information. So I'm going to deviate away from what a lot of twin flame coaches say, because for me, from my perspective of where I'm sitting at now, and I can only go by my experience, I think it's detrimental because it gives people false hope, and it gives people something that they hook into that becomes it becomes detrimental, really, overall. And that's the whole idea that, twin flames are destined to be together in this life. And that it is inaccurate. It has to be inaccurate because the amount of research that I've done and the amount of people that I have come across in my own, searching for answers, who have been like, I've been on this twin flame journey for 20 years. And I've been, others have been like for years and years and years and years. And I haven't seen my twin in 15 years. I'm still madly in love with them, but I have a knowing that they're going to come back to me, and I'm at total peace with that. So I don't know about that. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't know about that. There are other twin flame coaches that I have seen on the internet, one of which has since passed away, which I think is a real shame. His name was the Golden Ray twin coach or something like that. And he was one who was definitely saying the opposite to what most other people were saying, which is like, no, just because you've had this amazing awakening, that's been this gift, that's been this heart opening, does not mean you are destined to have a life together. And that has to make sense, because, a lot of people who are in a twin situationship are in long-term marriages that they're actually happy in. I was not. I was blessed by the timing, which was really bad timing, but in one way, but really great timing another way. If I hadn't have had this heart activation, I wouldn't have had what I needed to escape from a very abusive situation. Because when I had been trying for over 10 years to escape from my marriage, and had no success for multiple reasons. No success, as I've talked about recently, because when you have a lot of trauma from your childhood, you become trauma bonded to abusive people. One, because that's your normal. Two, because you're reenacting your abuse, trying to create, it's a karmic loop where you're trying to create a new ending to the story. Three, you are chemically hijacked in your brain when you are involved with a narcissist, and they are hitting you up with like cortisol hits, and then dopamine hits, and cortisol hits, and dopamine hits. Four, you're in a state of cognitive dissonance, and you're running back and forth between, it's not that bad, it might get better, I'm not going to get any better, it's okay sometimes, to, oh my God, it's terrible, it's horrible, I hate this, I need out, it's so stressful. And so you're bouncing back and forth between those states, as well as you've got a terrifying fear of being alone, being on your own, this repressed fear that you don't even want to address. And so you tolerate and you put up with shit that you shouldn't tolerate. But along came this twin situationship that woke me up big time, like a massive alarm going off, my heart activation, and I was madly in love. And madly, because it's mad, it's insane. Even I thought it was insane. I was like, this is crazy. I don't understand what's happening. And I was embarrassed to a certain extent. I felt foolish, like to no get out. But I couldn't shut it off. And I wanted to live my life in a certain degree of integrity, because integrity is very important to me. And so I understood, if I am in love with somebody else, I cannot be in love with my husband. And so I was honest to my husband and said, I fell in love with somebody else, and I want out of this marriage. I want out. because and it was one of those tower moments that soul speaks through you, and you're like, what the hell did I just say? And even though I had already gone into separation, as they call it, with my twin, and we were no longer even communicating. Like, we only communicated for a short period of time, and then went into total silence with each other, because they had their own life and I had my own life, and there was nowhere for the relationship to go, but the love didn't stop. For me, it certainly did. I can't speak for them. The love did not stop for me. So I was honest, and I was communicating to my ex-husband and said, listen, I've fallen in love with somebody else. I don't know how or why, or I can't seem to control it. I can't seem to shut it down. And I don't love you. So I want out. Is what I want. And they were like, well, that's good, because I was going to ask for it anyways if you can't commit to like never speaking to them again. And it literally came down to the threat of, you can never communicate with them again if I'm going to stay married. And the idea of never communicating again to a stranger was worse than staying in the marriage. On a 1 in a 50 billion chance that I could maybe one day have communication again with that other person, I was like, I want out. I want a divorce. It just like flew out of my mouth. Now, at that time, I still thought that I could consciously uncouple, as Gwyneth Paltrow coined the term, because I wanted to do so in a way that was peaceful and respectful, and that was yet another delusion. So there's been many delusions that I've had along this path. One, I had the delusion that I could separate easily. If you are separating from a narcissistic individual, good luck with that. You won't. It can't. Their ego will get too involved, and you will be put through hell. And that's why it took an additional, from that day, it took an additional two years to get them out of the house, to get them out of my life, and to get them get actual divorce papers signed. And I consider myself lucky, because there was no children involved and there was no property that we needed to separate. I literally just said, I want absolutely fucking nothing. Just sign this goddamn piece of paper. And that's what I asked for. Nothing in the end. Just give me nothing. Just give me a signature. Just let me get out. Because in those 2 years, I was hoovered. I was gaslit. I was lied to. I was manipulated. I was truth bombed. I was fucked with. There was flying fucking monkeys everywhere. It was bad. It was very, very bad. So I am so incredibly grateful, as I've said in so many videos, that this situationship happened along this path. So delusion 1 was that I could escape from my marriage unscathed. Delusion 2 was this nonsense that all these twin flame coaches feed you, that you are destined to be in this lifetime with your twin. Yeah, I believed that delusion too. And as I went through the process of detoxification and, this addictive energy that you get into after you've had, it's painful. It is a very painful process in detaching yourself from somebody that you have such strong feelings for. And unless you're on a twin flame journey, you can't fathom it. You cannot fathom it. Like, I was in my late 40s, so I'd experienced love in my life before, but nothing like that. nothing. The pull into this person is it's all kinds of cuckoo. And you try this way and that way to shut it down, and you try this way and that way to make sense of it because it's nonsensical. You try everything under the sun to move on. I've seen some people, hop into new relationship, and I wasn't wanting to do that because one, I didn't want to hop into another karmic relationship because I needed to heal from the karmic situation that I was in, and two, I didn't want to do the exact same thing that my ex-husband did to me, which is to get into a relationship under a lie when they're in love with somebody else. So one of the truth bombs and that was said to me is that they had never actually loved me. They were in love with somebody else the entire time. So I'm not going to go and get into a relationship with somebody else while I'm still in love with somebody else. That doesn't make any sense to me, because that would be a lie, and it's a false promise of availability when you're not fully available. So I've been single, I've been celibate, and a lot of people on this twin flame journey are, and it's like my body just a long time ago, even long before the marriage even ended, had shut down and had been like, yeah, this is a hard no situation, because my body knew before my mind that I was in a karmic situation. And so my body had become, for years, just uninterested, sexually speaking. And then I met my twin and I was like, zing! Hello, what's going on? And then body went shut down again. So that's a weird, another weird circumstance of this whole twin flame situationship is your body seems to go into a state of shutdown, and it just wants to utilize that sexual energy for your own healing. And for men, semen retention is a huge part of spiritual awakenings. And for women, that same sexual energy, if not being released, is being utilized by the Kundalini to help clear out and purge and release. It uses that energy. So as I said, this video this is part of the reason why I was a little bit nervous to throw this out here, because one, these are some of my deeper truths, as well as I said, a lot of this journey I have fought tooth and nail from a mental space, with a lot of doubt, a lot of confusion, a lot of this, a lot of that. But underneath, I also had these delusions I didn't want to admit to anyone, that like, I really think that somehow he's just going to come back to me magically, mysteriously. Like, it's like, maybe it's true. Maybe we are just destined to be together. And, and so because of that delusion, I never really allowed myself the opportunity to grieve the twin. Here on this twin flame journey, I'm grieving the loss of my family. I'm grieving the loss of friends. I'm grieving the loss of my identity. I'm grieving the loss of my marriage. I'm grieving the loss of all kinds of things. But the one thing I never let myself grieve was the loss of fully grieve without criticism, because it's been now 3 years, and it's time to finally, put a nail in it and grieve it, allow myself to grieve it. So my body's in this rest and restore phase, and I'm having all these constant dreams, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop trying to be over it. I'm gonna stop trying to hold on to it. I'm going to allow myself to fully grieve it, because that has been the lesson all the way along that I keep learning, is you need to feel what you really feel and not repress it, and listen to the heart. So, that heart space, for those that are on the journey, know that sometimes it's just, again, the body knows, the body is communicating. It gets tight and pained and like just so much. So I've been doing, like hours and hours and hours and hours of Reiki into the heart, and allowing myself to fully grieve, fully feel, allowing the tears to come, allowing the communication with that woman who I was 3 years ago. I'm not the same woman that I was 3 years ago at all. 3 years ago, I started my channel. Look at my first videos. I don't look the same. I don't talk the same. I don't think the same. I don't dress the same. I don't eat the same. I don't exist the same. Nothing about me is the same. But that woman that I was back then is still inside of me. It's like there's a song called "The Thousand Women I Was" or something like that. And we need to grieve the losses of those previous versions of ourselves. And that woman was, love struck. She was absolutely love struck. And she wanted to believe beyond anything that this was going to be her love story. And at the same time, and this is what's kind of, I don't know, synchronistic. Not all synchronicities are good synchronicities, but very synchronistic. It is at the same time that I had this heart activation back then and had asked for my divorce, it is when my mother, the exact same time, is when my mother said to me, these were one of her final words that she ever said to me before she died, was, no one will ever love you again. Because she said me getting a divorce was stupid, because nobody would ever love me again. I am unlovable. I am incapable, and I'm a very difficult person to love. So I hung up the phone, and so I went into PTSD after that, because I had to cut my mother off. So this program of no one will ever love you again, at the same time as you love somebody that is gone. It is like, that was my one and only chance, and now it's gone, so now no one will ever love me. So my mind, my mental scape, that was broken, was absolutely broken and devastated. And so to me, losing them meant losing any hope of love ever, especially with everything else that was happening, because, as I said, my body was shut down. I wasn't interested in anybody else. I had to get over all this crazy with my ex, and get through that divorce, and overcome and grieve what I had thought that the relationship was, which it wasn't, and then also deal with this mental program of you will never know love. So that's a possibility that I've had to grieve over the last year, and accept that actually might be true. Whether it's a high probability or a possible, I don't know, but I had to face that truth head on. I couldn't just negate it and say, well, that's just the ravings of a mad woman. who was cruel and abusive to me my whole life. It is a possibility. I don't understand this twin flame journey to the what's going to happen in 10, 20, 50 years. I have no idea if I lived 50 years, but it is a possibility that I have accepted that I am being transformed into a monk. Is it the life that I want? No. I'm going to be honest, not necessarily. I don't know if this is how monks feel or how nuns feel when they get called into service. Do I want to be in the service of God? 100%. I wouldn't have had that had I not had this journey as well. And had you asked me 5 years ago, will you ever be in the service of God? I would have laughed hysterically at you and said, excuse me, while I go throw on some Rage Against the Machine. Like, I was so not a God person. I was a let's go to a heavy metal punk rock festival and rock out person. I was not let's sit at home and pray person. Or buy a Bible person, or my spirituality was in my comfort zone of the more out there kind of stuff. Sure, I loved my crystals and I loved my Reiki, and I loved being kind of in the fringe, and so when this twin flame situationship came and grabbed me and pulled me out of everything that wasn't in alignment with myself, and I mean everything, to bring me back into a place of greater authenticity, it changed me so dramatically in so many ways, and so being in union with there's more than one way to be in union, is my point. Being in union with God and God's mission are things that I never in a million years would have foreseen for myself. But in this process, I have had a good few very mystical experiences on top of the weirder experiences. But a few very mystical experiences that I can't deny. And I know I'm being called into service. How exactly, I don't know, because the whole point of it is to let God lead. And so I'm learning how to let God lead. I am learning how to do that. And in learning how to do that, that means learning that everything I once thought my life would be may not be, including any illusions or delusions or make-believe or egoic pursuits, manifestation. I've talked about this to a couple people lately in regards to when you give your life to God. And if you don't like the word God, the universe, the divine, spirit, it's just language. It's not anything to get all worked up about. When you give yourself to the higher source and say, listen, I'm here, I'm awake now, you've woken me up, I've had this kundalini, you've purified me, you've cleared me out with this very strange situationship, And I am willing to be in service. I'm willing to do what you want. It's not like you get sent an itinerary or you get an email with the breakdown of how that's going to plan out. The whole point is you need to learn to trust that you're being led into something. And so that means letting go of the idea of manifesting this or manifesting that, because you don't know the plan. If you don't know the plan, you can't manifest the plan. You can't, it's blind faith. It's absolutely learning blind faith that I am going to be led where I need to be led. I'm going to be provided with what I need to be provided with, when I need to be provided with it, and not a moment before that. And the people that need to support me on this mission will come and be introduced to me in direct, divine time, divine way. And you don't know what that looks like. You have no idea what it looks like. So it's impossible to manifest it if you don't know what it is. So it could be, I don't know, in the next 5 years, maybe I'm going to have a shaved head and I'm going to be a Buddhist monk. I don't think so, but it's possible. I allow myself that possibility. I allow myself the possibility to grieve that relationship as I know it, as I have known it, is most definitely over. I can't go back into the old paradigm of conditional, transactional, karmic style relationships. I can only move into divine partnership. And from what I can see, that's not on offer. So in so doing, I'm allowing myself to fully grieve the loss of what I thought my life was going to look like, whether that be diluted or not, whether I be too harsh a critic and too I'm just not judging. There's just no judging. There's just accepting what is in the present moment. It is being alone and accepting that is what God wants me to be, and grieving the loss of that dream. And it was a beautiful dream. Oh man, was it a beautiful dream. And I understand for anyone who gets caught into the dream and thinking that because of all this stuff that gets spoon-fed, that, oh, there's going to be this magical happy ever after. What if the happy ever after is they're happily living their life, happily ever after, without you in it? And that's what love is. Love is letting somebody be fully happy in the life that they've chosen, even if that means they didn't choose you. That's what I would want. I love them so much. I just want them to be happy. And I think when we hold on, because grasping, when we hold on to somebody who's happier without you, that's not a very loving thing to do. It's self-focused as opposed to loving is a giving. I want to give you the life of happiness. And if the life of happiness that they have chosen isn't you, then let them be happy. You'll love them for the rest of your life. It will be impossible not to, but let them be happy. That's ultimately the goal. So my message is going to go against what most of the twin flame coaches and stuff like that are telling you to do, which is to just believe. I'm letting you, saying, let them go. Let them go. Let yourself grieve. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to grieve. Because the love was real for you. It was most certainly real for me. And the desire and the longing was real for you. Even if it made no sense, and even if it was an impossible no-win situation, the love was real. And yeah, I'm glad that I've allowed myself this time over the last few days to just fully grieve the loss of that love too. There's a lot of grief on this awakening path, this twin flame journey, and the kindest thing that we can do for ourselves is to love the fuck out of ourselves, and to allow fully, without judgment and with an abundance of compassion, for you to grieve that magical person that came into your life and lit a fire under your ass. And I honor that. And so should you. If you have any questions or need any help with grieving and letting go, and you would like to book a one-on-one with me, I will be taking clients again now that I can speak again, which is great. So feel free to reach out and send me off an email, or book a one-on-one with me. All of my services are by donation. If you would like to join the Spiritual Warrior Support Group and start a discussion about this, because I know it's a hot topic, because some people are like, no, we're destined. And I'm like, no, maybe you're not. You don't know what destiny is. Nobody does. That's just it. Nobody knows what your destiny is other than your soul. Your soul's the only one that knows and has the answers. And they're not relieving and giving you any hints. So synchronicities, this, that, or the other, you'll see their name absolutely everywhere. And wouldn't it be nice just when you see their name, you smile instead of going, ugh. So if mine happens to be watching, I hope you're having the best life ever. That's what I want for you. And with that all said, I'm sending absolute love and compassion out to everyone who's on this crazy ass journey. Peace out.